Yeah, sorry for this. This is not how it intended to start. I was a bit confused as well. So, evening, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me well, if you can see the screen, so if everything is okay. And we'll start roughly in a minute. And before we start, I'd like to find our application. Okay, this is not where it should be. This is not as well. Oh, come on. Unfortunately, I had an electricity outage and it just came back for about 15 minutes, so I didn't have a chance to prepare all of the necessary stuff for our today's lecture. But I will do my best anyway. So, okay. So, yeah, I believe this is where it should be. Yeah, here we go. So, yeah. Hello again. So, and now today's topic is authorization. So it's not a big task, but it's a huge topic to talk about. But at the scope of our task, it's not a big deal actually. Just because AWS already provides us with built-in functionality for its services, just to make an authorization happen from the side of our application. And today we will have a look on how can they implement it and what should be done in the task number 7. So let's have a look at our schema as usual. Oh, not this one. Yeah, but this. Sorry for the wrong order. I'll go ahead to make it full screen for myself just to see it clean. So as you can see, we have another square, and it means what we will work with in our part of our application, which is authorization. And the idea of this part of an application will be quite easy. So all of the requests to place CSV file on our inside our S3 bucket, just to make it parsed and being put on in our database, should be authorized. In order to do it, we need to create another part of our application, which is authorization service. So this inside of this service will be just one Lambda function, which will work within our existing API gateway from the import service part of our application. So, and this Lambda function will be triggered every time when someone wants to upload a file on our application. And this Lambda function will be responsible only for one thing, and it should just make sure that this action is authorized. So, pretty simple and pretty obvious, I would say. We will have a look inside of this Lambda function a bit later, just to understand how this Lambda authorize all of these actions. But now let's have a look at the authorization process. So first of all, an end user will go to our cloud front, maybe in other words, to the UI of our application, and try to upload the file via the existing functionality. So it will just click on the upload file, upload products, or something like this, put the file inside, and just click upload. That's it. Next step, CloudFront will go to the via the Lambda function will go to the API gateway, and first thing that should happen is this API gateway must understand. But okay, this endpoint should be all of the calls to this endpoint should be authorized, and in this case, the API gateway should go to the this API gateway. They gets the information. Okay, so I should go to the API URL and attach the token, which is took from the local storage of our application, and I should attach it to the Lambda function and in other words, provide it to the Lambda function to make this Lambda function all of the necessary authorization stuff. And this Lambda function will take this authorization header I'll show you a bit later on how it looks like and how it should look like. And this Lambda function will try to authorize these actions. So it will try to compare the provided token with one, which is, in our case, it may be hard-coded on the Lambda function, or if you have, let's say, enough time, so you can go ahead and use the AWS Cognito, which is kind of service which gives us an option to make in our user base. And in this case, this Lambda function will not just work with the mock data inside of it, which is hard-coded inside of it, but will just go to the AWS Cognito and take all of the existing users and try to compare this token with the tokens of the existing users. But in this case, yeah, as I already mentioned, so we will use the environment variables just to store the, let's say, accepted tokens. And this Lambda function will just try to make sure that the provided token is what we have in our provided token in the entries of in our environment variables. And if everything is fine, so if this token will match the one which is inside of Lambda function, so this action, so the action of the uploading of the CSV file to the S3 bucket will be authorized and will be processed. So when our import Lambda function will be triggered in this case, and it will place all of the stuff into the SQS queue, and SQS queue will call another Lambda function, which will be responsible to put all of the products inside the DynamoDB. Now, I think we can have a look on how it looks like on the code. So let me rearrange screens a bit. So now you should see, come on, before presenting a screen, remove over media streams from the stage. Okay, sounds good. Fair enough. Let me know if you can see my screen. It should be VS Code visible right now. So here we have in our front-end part of our application. And one thing we should do in here is, okay, it's queries, it's not models, it's not mocks, it should be not constant, but components. And there should be something like, maybe not components, but utils. Nope, not here. Where is it? Okay, I have another one, so which is called done src utils. There should be the file where we orders. Okay, yeah, here we go. It should be products, I believe. Absurd available products, but it's queries. Card items, order products. Bear with me for a moment. So I need to find out where all this stuff is located. It's not this. Come on. It's not order, not cut item. And for sure it's not a mocks. Okay, let's try to find out where do we have an entries of the BFF. Maybe it's not the most convenient way to do it. Is it? Use available product. So, okay, in other words, maybe we can search for the get product function. Do we have something like it? Okay, there is even by ID. So I think, yeah, should be here, I guess. Nope. But I don't see the authorization header in here. So maybe I'm doing something wrong. I'm not sure. Yeah, sorry, it may take a bit more time than I thought. Okay, it looks a bit better now. Get all environment variables, header, but what it is? Product service. Oh, okay, it's stack. It's not, probably not in here. So, what can I do now? Try looking for local storage. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Get products token, yeah, but it should be not this part and not the cart. Orders products, I believe. Get products token. Use available products. Yeah, I believe it's this one. So yeah, you're right. Thank you so much. So this is a function which will be used to get the information about our products from our application. And in this case, I'm not sure if you already have this authorization headers inside, but otherwise you should put it in here. I actually just don't remember how our existing application looks like, but let's maybe have a look. Do we need to do something additional? Just because we've made some changes from the previous run. So fork single shell application. Yeah, here we go. How's file code like? It's products in src queries. It's just the products in src queries. Products available. Use available products. Yeah, looks like there is. And how this function should look like? Use available products. Use available products. So yeah, it looks like we don't have a authorization header in here. So we should put it inside. We should put it inside just to make our endpoint of our application process the header which we will provide. So in order to put your token inside of your application, I believe there should be notice about it. I'm not sure. And file, yeah, this is how we should work with it. And this is how we can put the token inside of our application. So we need just to go to the developer mode. So how can I do it? Like this? Nope. Like this. Come on. Oh, it's not like this. Okay, so I'm sorry, I just confused a bit. So you will need to open the developer's console of your application, open the console, and then just put something like this inside. Yeah, but it's get item, but you should put it before. And in order to put it, you need to use something similar. But I can see it in here. Yeah, I'll addition and send it to you, but maybe I have some notes inside of my application. Don't think so, but let's give it a try. So it should be authorization service. Not requirements that dev. Yeah, let's have a look at the Lambda. Yeah, there is no comments, unfortunately. Maybe inside the Lambda itself. No. Okay, so well, for all of you who is not sure how to put something into the local storage, yeah, I will find this line for you, and just an example on how can you put your token inside of the local storage of your application, just to test all of the stuff that you will try with this Lambda function. But now let's have a look at the Lambda. So it should be just Lambda, but this Lambda should contain the environment variable. And in this environment variable, you should store the token which will fit the one which you will store in your local storage. And whenever someone will check your work, your submission or task that you've done, this person should as well put this token inside of your inside of the local storage, just because this local storage is really local, so it's for the end user only. And yeah, just for the convenience, let's have this token to be like it's provided in the task. So it should be something like your GitHub account. It was somewhere in here, I believe. Test password, string password for the test user. Your GitHub account name. Login for the test user should be okay. And test password is as a password. So yeah, since we don't have any private or sensitive information, so yeah, let's go ahead and use just test information. So, and in this example, so your GitHub account equals and just test password will be the authorization token in this case. So you should store this value in your Lambda function, just to make someone who will check your job, to make possible to authorize against the Lambda function and have a look at the logs on what's happening inside, what's happening when this request have been made. So, sorry. And it's actually, so when we will need just to go to the import service and find the API gateway and just assign our authorization Lambda function to it. So it's probably it. And then let's have a look at the authorization Lambda function itself. So what's inside of it? And let's try to understand how the authorization process works with it. So as I already mentioned, so whenever any request will be made against the API gateway with authorization, this API gateway will first of all go to the invoke the authorization Lambda function, just to make sure that this action is really authorized. This Lambda function will just take the credentials and will try to decode it, just because this credential should be stored in the base64 encoded format. When it's done, so this Lambda function will just try and compare the provided credentials with the one which are stored in the environment variables of this Lambda function. And if everything is fine, we're just calling another function, but it's not Lambda function, it's just a function inside of our existing Lambda function. We will call another function which will create the policies. So we will create them like this. So as you can see, there is the policy document, which is by default is just empty hash table, and then we will populate it with the version, with statements. So everything we will populate it with everything to make it this JSON response as a security policy in the AWS, and then we will just return this policy. So I'm not sure if I can just go ahead and call it right here. But maybe let's try. Why not? So just, oh, come on. So it should be something like generate policy. And okay, there is already user 1 to 3 allow. And by the XXX, meaning, so multiple X's, meaning the endpoint which will be allowed to trigger. So let's have a look how this would it work. Okay, we just need to print it. Oh, sorry. Like this. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is how this policy looks like. So it's just the principal ID, and in this case, it's just the user. Policy documents, so just describing what it actually is. We are telling the version, and it's default in the AWS, but I can't tell you much about it. And then we are explaining these statements, so what these policies allow us to do. And in this case, we are just allowed to execute API So in other words, executing our Lambda function, we need to allow it. And resource, by resource, yeah, as I already mentioned, this should be the URL of our Lambda function, just to make the, just for in our API gateway to make these, to make it possible to call in our Lambda function, which is necessary in this case. So, and that's probably it. So once you have done the authorization, when the rest of this task is pretty simple. So we don't need to change anything else, just because and the rest of the application is working as it should. We just need to make this authorization step before really calling in our Lambda function. What else I wanted to show you? So yeah, maybe once again, let's come back to the import service once again. So just for us to understand, but we don't need to make any other, it should be here, API gateway, yeah. We don't need to make any more endpoints for this Lambda function. So this Lambda function should be used only for authorization, and there is a special class for it. So it's token authorizer. And whenever you're providing this information for your API gateway, it's pretty enough to make this API gateway to try and authorize all of the, oh, actually, by the way, it's here. Yeah, so it's pretty enough just to make your, all of the requests of its API gateway to be authorized before being really processed. So, and yeah, this is accidentally, I just found out where I stored this line. So by this one, you can just open your developer's console in your browser whenever you will go to your application, and just put these authorization token inside. So if we will try to decode this one, I believe we will get something like my username and test password. So let's have a look. It should be like echo, like this, and pipe base64 minus d, I believe. Yeah, so it's my username in the GitHub and then this password inside. So in order to encode it, so you need to do the opposite. Or maybe you can just go to the to any existing tools in the internet and just find out how to encode the base64. So, but as an example, so it should be like this, and then pipe, and then base64. And that's pretty it. So we are getting the same string. And then need to put it inside, just to make another Lambda function, then decode it, and try to compare it with the, as I already mentioned, environment variables which are stored inside of it. So, where is it? It's not Lambda. Yeah, it should be in here. So, yeah. Oh, and they should be actually stored in the .env. Okay, yeah, actually makes sense. I think it's a part of the task itself. So just to store it in the .env file and try to use some of the libraries which are necessary for such cases. Okay, let's have a look at the task itself. So create a new service called authorization service. So alongside the product service and input service, we need just to create another one, which is authorization service. Create a Lambda function, which should be called basic authorizer. Lambda function should be at least one environment variable with the following credentials. So in our case, yeah, it's GitHub account equals test password. Nothing interesting. This basic authorizer Lambda function should take basic authorization token. Decode it and check that credentials provided by token exist in the Lambda environment variables. Oh, yeah, thank you so much, Evgeny. So Evgeny already posted in the chat. So yeah, an example on how to do it in just one line without any of this dances with the encoding and so on. Okay, and this Lambda function should return HTTP 403 error in case of this action is not authorized, and 401 if authorization header is not provided. So yeah, we actually can imagine that we will make a request without this authorization header. So whenever we're not putting it inside of our local storage, we may just not use it. And in case of successful authorization, Lambda should return IAM policy. Yeah, as we already saw. Don't send accusations to GitHub, use that env file and that env package to add environment variables to the Lambda. Fair enough. So you will need just create the .env file and create a git ignore, which should consist of that env as well. But I believe we already have a git ignore file somewhere in here. Yeah, here we go. And we need just to put that env in here. So just not to accidentally push our credentials on the GitHub. Okay, add Lambda authorization to the import path of the import service API gateway. Yeah, as we already saw, so we need just to go to the import service part of our application, go to our API gateway, and just place the basic authorizer, implement the basic authorizer class inside of this API gateway. Request from the client application to the import path, basic authorization header. Yeah, this header, this is what we saw in our application. So this is what I tried to show you, but I believe I missed it again. Okay, it should be front end. Let's go to the done, React, and it was SRC and queries, I believe, and products. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, this header should be implemented from the front end part of our application. And don't forget to re-upload your application, just because the changes won't be applied itself. Okay, let's assume this done. Clean should get authorization token value from the browser, like this. Commit, as usual. We'll create a new branch, task number 7. Evaluation criteria, provide a review with a link to your repo, client application. Okay, fair enough. Authorization service is added to the repo, has correct basic authorizer lambda and correct AWS. Okay. Input service has authorizer function. Okay, so we will need just to create it. Our client application is updated to send authorization, basic authorization token header on import. Client should get authorization token value from browser, local storage. Okay, yeah, I believe it's kind of documentation which explains on how to do it. Okay, this one is run in Russian, but I believe it should be in other languages, as you wish. And okay, so much about the additional tasks. So first of all is plus 30, so it looks like only one is which really value has a value. Client application should display alerts for the responses in 401 and 403 HTTP statuses. This behavior should be added to the SRC index. Not sure if it's implemented from my end, because I don't remember if I did something like this, just because Node.js is the TypeScript. In this case, it's not my best site. Okay, but yeah, for one who will handle it, yeah, just go ahead. And the second one is for the AWS Cognito. So you can just go ahead through this instruction and just try to implement not the storing of the token in the local storage, but try to make your Lambda function really go to the AWS Cognito and try to get the information right from it. So not from the something that have been done manually, but from the real existing pool. So it will be very useful for you. I'm not sure if we touched such a topic about the AWS Cognito on the previous workshop, but I believe we will touch it on the upcoming one. Yeah, but I'll tell about it a bit later. But I believe it's pretty from the perspective of this task. So yeah, it's not a hard one. You just need to understand on how this authorization Lambda function actually works. So what it just takes credentials, compares credentials, and then providing the policies. IAM policies, which is necessary for API gateway to call the Lambda function. That's pretty it. It's pretty straightforward, but yeah, as I already mentioned, authorization is quite a huge part, I think, of every application. Okay. Do we have any questions? Not yet, I believe. Okay, let me just try to find the... Let me just try to find the link to the upcoming workshop so I can... I believe is already shared it on the Discord channel. It's announcements, yeah. A couple microservices. So yeah, let's have a look on what's inside. Okay, not this one. Google form. Where is the documentation about? Okay, yeah, here we go. So yeah, this workshop will be dedicated about the microservices. So I think only one part of this. I don't know why, but there is a link to the fourth part of this workshop right now. And there is no Cognito. Let's get together. No Cognito as well, unfortunately. But I believe we will have another workshop about the Cognito, so you will have a chance also to try some, let's say, more advanced stuff besides the just creation of user and comparing it with Lambda function. Yeah, but I encourage you to have a look at the Discord channel and try to find the previous message in the announcements. And it will be about the upcoming workshop, which will take place in it's Thursday, I believe. Oh, it's Friday. Okay, Friday evening. Such a good time for a workshop. But yeah, so and don't miss a chance to register for this one, just because registration closes one day before the workshop itself. So you have only time before Thursday evening. And Friday evening, just jump into the stream, and our colleague, and it will be Galim Bakashev. He will show you how to do some more advanced stuff in the AWS. And if you will register for this workshop, you will be also provided with the special account for this workshop, just to do all of the stuff alongside with our colleague. That's pretty it from my end, what I wanted to tell you about. So it's task number 7. I believe it's the last relatively easy one, just because 8th and 9th, 9th will be pretty easy as well, but backend for front end and the integration with SQL databases will be a bit tricky to do. And I believe we also have 2 weeks for them, for both of them. So yeah, you will have enough time, but yeah, we're a bit tricky to do. Okay, that's pretty it from my end. So if you have any questions, I think there is no better time to ask them. I can't do anything with this message in the chat from the Twitch. Okay, yeah. Okay, so if you will have any questions, feel free to ask them in the Discord channel as usual. So, and good luck. The deadline is Saturday evening as usual. So yeah, don't miss it. But I'll write additional notification about it. Okay, thank you so much, and see you in the next week. Cheers.